Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, based on the time zones you all are coming from. So before we start with this session, can you all please give me a quick confirmation if you all can see my screen and hear me loud and clear as well? Perfect. Thank you for confirmation, everyone. So my name is 𝐑𝐨𝐥𝐞-𝐁𝐚𝐬, and I've been working in this IT industry for more than 13 years now. So before we get started, let me quickly introduce you all to Edureka Masterclass community. So this community of Masterclass was started back in 2019, and since then we have been closing into more than 33,000 members so far. So in these master classes, multiple webinars and live events are conducted on every days on different topics, including blockchain, IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, and multiple front-end and back-end development technologies. And the best part about these webinars are they are absolutely free of cost, so there are no charges involved here. And to be a part of this entire webinar group, so you can click on join this group, and then we will be notified with the entire schedule that we have planned for the month so that you can join accordingly. So today we are going to focus on the concepts of project management. So here we are going to discuss on PMP. So first of all, we are going to discuss on what exactly is a project management, what is PMP, and the PMP exam pattern, and then we are going to talk about the PMP exam requirements as well, and then what exactly are the certification costs involved in PMP. So first of all, if we talk about a project before we start talking about project management, then project is basically something that we undertake to produce a unique product or a solution. And by temporary endeavor, we mean that we have a definite beginning and an ending, whereas unique means that we have the final product that must be specific to a project. So a project that does not have any of these properties, it can be harmful for any company itself. And a project that doesn't have, again, basically it doesn't have any timeline, again, it cannot be completed. And that's why a timeline, a given time frame should also be there itself. All right. And if we talk about the concept of project management, then we can say that project management is like a discipline that helps us in implementing various processes, methods, knowledge, skills, and experience for achieving the objectives of a unique project. And one thing that we need to understand here is project management is nothing like, I can say, is nothing like the usual management. One key factor which differentiates these two is that project management has a final deliverable and a definite timeline, whereas management is an ongoing process. There's no, we can say, delivery timeline required for a project for a given project here, right? So for the entire management process. So projects always have to adapt to market changes, and in the past, project management followed a triple constraints, or we can say an iron triangle concept to bring about this adaptation. And it was a combination of three key components which acted as the most significant restrictions on any project. And each of the constraints formed the vertices of triangle with quality as a central factor, where we had time, cost, scope, and the quality itself as a part of the complete triangle concept that we earlier had in terms of PMP certification here. All right. And then now if we talk about the main significance of any project, as we discussed, again, it involves planning, risk identification, and mitigation steps as well. And again, it allows to have an effective communication and stakeholder identification. So where we can work on demarching the roles and responsibilities, where we can define scope, timeline, and cost required to carry out the given project, all as a part of project management. Now, next is we have PMP. PMP here refers to the project management course that we have So basically, PMP refers to project management professional. So it's like a certification that is commonly referred as PMP certification. And it's one of the, I guess, most popular certifications in the field of project management. So all the professionals, irrespective of the industries they belong to, they are trying to get PMP certified, and they are, again, different components involved here. So first of all, as we discussed, now we had already seen, okay, what exactly PMP stands for as a part of the complete certification process. And it is also considered like a golden standard for project management. So again, we have to go through a complete rigorous process for getting the certification. And there are currently more than 8 lakh active PMP holders all around the world. So basically, it is now the main advantage of PMP is the certification is again not any specific industry specific. So anyone can go ahead and do that. And basically here it is going to help us in improving the entire component. So basically here, if we talk about the entire leadership skill improvement, then again, PMP simply help us in that. It refines our problem solving skills. With PMP certification, we can get an edge over the non-PMP certification holders, and it gives a platform for worldwide recognition. So basically, in terms of the main pointers as well, again, in terms of employee benefits, we have a greater employment opportunities available. We have international recognition because this certification is global. It's not specific to any country or any specific market. And here we can have a better skill set where we have the competition, we can say edge over the non-PMP candidates, and where we can work across different industries as a part of the benefits that we discussed already. And then in terms of the benefits for a given, now these are employee benefits. Now here we have multiple benefits for employers as well, where they can achieve a greater customer satisfaction because the team who is going to work on the entire project, they will be well aware, okay, of what exactly should be done in order to make the entire project successful. And again, a project can be successful only when it meets the demands. It meets the requirements set by the customers, that means the client, that means the end user itself, right? And that ensures that. And then here we have now PMP certified candidates are again they all also reliable as well. So now if we talk about the entire exam pattern, so now basically the examination is again in two different ways here. We have the computer-based tests that we call as the CBTs, and then we have the paper-based, then we have the paper-based tests here that we call as the PBTs itself. So first of all, there are different stages here involved here. Like we have the initiating, planning, execution, controlling, and closing about the project. So these are different areas where a candidate is tested. So how much knowledge they have in these different areas here, right? And again, in terms of the prerequisite, so basically now here when we talk about the entire prerequisites here, so the candidate must have 5 years plus, or we have a 60 months plus, or we can say 7,500 plus hours of project management experience. So again, that's why we have a prerequisite here, right? So along with the certification here, so for example, we have a bachelor's degree. So now if the user doesn't have the bachelor's degree or against a global equivalent degree, then can be either 3 years plus 3+ years of experience along with or 4,500 hours of experience along with 35 contract hours as well in terms of PM education. And then we have now we can take a note of the point that okay, we can only attend PMP exam thrice in 1 year, not more than that, and the experience must have acquired within the last 8 consecutive years prior to application of submission itself. And that means that we have to meet the criteria for getting certified, and again that has to be achieved before we appear for the examination, before we have registered for the examination. And the project durations, they should not overlap with each other, and we have to have an experience in all 5 process groups across all our projects. That means in terms of initiation, planning, execution, controlling, and closing as well. So we don't need to be a project manager for appearing for PMP, and we can be a professional who has experience in leading and directing projects. And thus we can belong to any domain like marketing, programming, event management, construction. They all can be allowed to take the PMP exam and get certified. So now in terms of the stages here, so first of all, again here if you talk about the first stage as in the initiative stage, and again here we have a weightage of around 13% in terms of the actual course weightage. Then again in terms of planning, how exactly the different components are going to be planned, that is currently having 24% of weightage. And then we have 31% of weightage given to the execution stage here. And then we have in the controlling phase, we have almost the same way as 10%, and then we have 7% for the closing stage. So in terms of the examination point of view, they are going to be 200 multiple choice questions, and we get 4 hours to complete the exam where there is no negative marking involved here, and 25 questions are going to be inserted randomly in the question paper, which are going to be again, they are going to be a sample question that is not going to be graded, and the result is based on the answers of 175 questions, not on the entire 200. And to pass the exam, we have to have at least 106 questions answered correctly. And the exam is preceded by a 15 minutes walkthrough of the exam format itself. That's how it is structured. Now, next is we have, again, here we have the content. So basically here we have people, process, and business environment. That is what PMP simply revolves around. So here, first of all, in terms of the upcoming pattern here, so this was the early pattern in 5 different categories. Now we have 42% weightage in terms of people. Then we have 50% weightage in terms of process, and a remaining 8% in terms of business environment, in terms of upcoming PMP exam content altogether. Now, in terms of the content outline, so you are going to have 3 domains, 35 tasks, and 133 enablers. So domain is like a high level knowledge, or where again we need to have a practice, a good hands-on knowledge on the project management itself. And then we have tasks which simply aid the underlying responsibilities of project managers within the each domain. And enablers are like the examples of the job that is associated with the task itself. And then we have domain, task, and enablers, and again enablers. So if we talk about the main difference here, the domain includes that we have people, we have 14 tasks and 52 enablers. Then again, it includes process where we have 17 tasks and then we have 61 enablers. And then in the business environment, we have 4 tasks and then we have 19 enablers. And that's how the questions are being distributed. Now, if you talk about simple example for people, again here, the task is for managing conflict, and enablers is supposed here to interpret the source and stage of conflict, analyze the content of the conflict, and evaluate, or you can say reconcile the appropriate conflict resolution solution as well. And then we have process. So under process, we have to execute project with the urgency required to deliver the business value, where we are going to assess the opportunities to deliver value incrementally. And there we can examine business value throughout the project. And then we'll be having and then we require to support the team to subdivide project tasks as necessary to find the minimum viable produce. And then we have business environment in which we can support the organizational change, where we can assess the organizational culture, evaluate the impact of an organizational change to improve it and determine required actions. And then we can evaluate the impact of the project to the organization and determine the required actions as well. So in terms of the exam requirements that we discussed, we have multiple, we can say, requirements that we had to fulfill before we can go ahead and appear for the exam here. Now, in terms of the prerequisite, so everyone cannot opt for PMP certification. So we need to fulfill some prerequisites in order to take up the certification program. So PMI, that governs the PMP exam, it simply mandates that the certification experience should come with the high school degree along with an associate's degree or a global equivalent degree itself. And additionally, the candidate must have 60 plus months of or 7,500 hours of project management experience. So basically, in terms of education, we can have secondary degree, 4-year degree, and then we have bachelor's or postgraduate degree. And then in terms of project management experience, now here the participant should have a 5-year of non-overlapping project management experience and 3 years of non-overlapping project experience, or we can have 2 years of non-overlapping project management experience here. And then we can have, in terms of project management education, we can have 35 contact hours of formal education unless we are an active, we can say CAPM holder. And then, or we can have same thing for 4-year degree. Here we can have 35 contact hours of formal education unless we are an active CAPM holder. We can have 35 contact hours of formal education for bachelor's or for postgraduate degree as well. So it's same for all. Now it comes down to the entire cost itself. So again, the certification cost itself is, in terms of the CBT members, here it is $405. For non-CBT OPT member, we have $555. For the OPT member, we have $275 as the USD as a bill, as a main, we can say main examination fee. And then we have for taking up the re-exam, for the non-members, it is $375. So basically we can say it is 405 and for member, And again, for those who are not a member of our PMI, then again, it is going to be $555. And whatever cost we are looking at, we are, again, this cost will incur the taxation as well, and taxation is different for different countries. So we have to take care of that component as well. All right. Thank you so much for joining, everyone, and have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.